What's up, everybody? I'm gonna do a video on, I guess it'd be called the Legend of La Llorona, which is that's how I'm gonna pronounce it. Um, there's a movie that just came out called La Llorona. I think ain't that the full title? Just La Llorona.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, she's got a couple other names. Weeping Woman. So she's like, I'm guessing a weeping ghost or something.
Yeah, she weeps for the children that she drowned.
Yeah.
But she's looking for
So
them.
she's kind of like the gray lady. Hey, man.
Oh.
Yeah, I just didn't want you, or you're not wearing clothes. I didn't want it popping up in the background. Kind of like the gray lady then.
Yeah.
Of the Bermuda Triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. In Latin folklore, La Llorona, the weeping woman or the crier, is one of the most oral legends. The lore states a woman was abandoned by her husband and was left alone to raise two sons, whom she instead drowned in a river. See, the gray lady, though, she didn't drown her baby. The baby drowned, but she didn't murder him.
Yeah. No.
Out of grief and anger, as a result of her actions, the woman is condemned to wander for all eternity until she finds the bodies of her children, often causing misfortune to those who are near or hear her. The oral story represents La Llorona as a person, legend, ghost, goddess, metaphor, and symbol. I don't see how it's goddess. Let's see the legend. The legend described in this article is a generic version of the Mexican version of this folktale. Other regional variations of the story exist. The legend is that in a rural village, you're totally fucking this camera up, man.
Sorry.
Yeah, alright. That in a, where's I at now? Rural village. So you done fucked up my video. The legend is said that in a rural village, there lived a young woman named Maria. She came from a poor family, but was known around her village for her beauty. One day, the extremely wealthy nobleman traveled through her village. He stopped in his tracks when he saw Maria. Maria was charmed by him and he was taken by her beauty. So when he proposed to her, she immediately accepted. Maria's family was thrilled that she was marrying into a wealthy family, but the nobleman's father was extremely disappointed that his son was marrying into poverty. Maria and her new husband built a house.
Built a house in the village.
Built a house in the village to be away from his disapproving father. Eventually, she gave birth to a son and a daughter. Her husband was always traveling and began to stop spending time with his family. When he came home, he only paid attention to the children, and as time passed, Maria could tell that her husband was falling out of love with her because she was getting old. One day, he returned to the village with a younger woman and bid his children farewell, ignoring Maria. Maria, angry and hurt, took her children to a river and drowned them in a blind rage. I don't understand why the fuck she took it out on her kids, man. That's the crazy shit.
Because, listen though, the husband only paid attention to the children.
So she was jealous.
Yeah.
She realized that she had done what she had done and searched for them, but the river had already carried them away. Days later, she was found dead on the riverbank. She had committed the two ultimate sins, murder and suicide. Challenged at the gates of heaven for the whereabouts of her children, she is not permitted to enter the afterlife until she finds them. Stuck between the land of the living and the dead, she spends eternity looking for her lost children. She is always heard weeping for her children, earning her the name La Llorona. It is said that if you hear crying, you are to run the opposite way if you hear her cries. They could bring misfortune or even death. My parents in Latin America many parents in Latin America use this story to scare their children from staying out too late. Honestly, man, that's where a lot of
legends come from. Ways to scare your children into behaving.
I mean, it was pretty much that and not staying out late and shit. It was the same concept of us telling Stella, don't talk to strangers or they'll kidnap you. you know, and they'll be mean to you. It's the same equivalent. Except they use like ghosts and demons and shit like that.
Back in the day, they definitely did.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of boogeymen came about.
Like now, imagine if you were telling your kids like demons would get them. Like that would be like fucking mental abuse.
Yeah, it'd be.
CPS would be over you and like all over you in 2 seconds.
Oh yeah.
La Llorona kidnaps. Well, we used to ghost hunt with Stella, so that's probably no better. La Llorona kidnaps wandering children at night, mistaking them for her own. She begs the heavens for forgiveness and drowns the children she kidnaps. People who claim to have seen her say she appears at night or in the late evening by rivers or lakes, wearing a white or black gown with a veil. Some believe those who hear the wails of La Llorona are marked for death or misfortune. Yeah, there you go.
Similar to the Gaelic Banshee legend.
Yep, similar to the Gaelic Banshee legend. Among her wails, that's what it reminded me of was like the Banshee. She is noted as crying, "I miss heroes." I guess. Is that how you pronounce that?
I think so.
"I miss heroes," which translates to "Oh my children" or "Oh my sons." Yeah, mijo. We used to have this little Mexican lady I worked with at McDonald's, and I'd say, "Mama, oh mama," and like kiss her on the cheek and hug her, and she'd go, "Oh mijo, and like hug me and stuff. It was awesome. Me and David, we used to, "No mama, mijo, my mijos." That's what she'd say, "My mijos." She scrapes the bottom of the rivers and lakes searching for her sons. It is said that when her wails sound near, she is actually far, and when she sounds distant, she is actually very near.
Oh, opposite.
That's fucking trippy.
Yeah.
So if she sounds far away, she's super close. If she sounds super close, she's super far. Origins. The legend of La Llorona is traditionally known through Latin America, including Mexico, Central or South America. La Llorona is also sometimes identified with La Malinche, the Nahua woman who served as Cortez' interpreter and mistress who bore his children, and some say... Oh, my hand's getting tired. There, if you want to hold it.
Yeah, I'll hold it. And who some say was betrayed by the Spanish conquistadors. In one folk story of La
Malinche.
Malinche.
She became Hernan Cortez' mistress and bore him a child, only to abandon so that he could marry a Spanish lady. Although no evidence exists that La Malinche killed her children, Aztec pride drove La Malinche to acts of vengeance. In this context, the tale compares the Spanish discovery of the New World and the demise of the indigenous culture at the conquest with La Llorona's loss. Stories of a weeping female phantoms are common to folklore of both European and indigenous American cultures. I've noticed that. It's always like women, man. Like crying women. Yeah. Well, hell, and that's like when we went to Ghost Hunt Lancaster, it was that was a crying ghost girl, but I don't know, it's always like, it's weird how like they're all very similar.
Yeah.
It's like that with mythology and religion too, like they're all telling the same stories.
Well, man. That's because stories told from one trader to the next. A trader, a merchant, an adventurer will travel to a new land, hear this new story, and then bring it back and tell someone else. And then that person travels, and it just continues on by word of mouth, and which is why they're similar yet variant. Right. They apply it to their own culture. Well, this happened, so maybe this story I just heard, maybe it has followed us here, or maybe it's something like it.
Right.
So it is similar, but it matches their culture, their region, their, their belief systems, whatever.
Yeah. Scholars have pointed out similarities between La Llorona and the Quihuacatl of Aztec mythology, as well as Eve and Lilith of Old World mythology. So they compare to Lilith too. That's pretty dope. Author Ben Redford's investigation in the legend of La Llorona, published in Mysterious New Mexico, traced elements of the story back to a German folktale dating from 1486.
Damn.
The earliest published reference to La Llorona occurred in a sonnet written by Mexican poet Manuel Carpio in the late 1800s. The poem makes no reference to infanticide. Rather, La Llorona is identified as a ghost woman who was murdered by her husband.
So the story.
Well, that's the oldest writing, though. So, I mean,
Yeah.
the story could be about her killing her children, and then he just, like, wrote it down as, like, a fucked up version.
Yeah, just where there are no children. The husband just killed the wife, which
Right.
has nothing to do with her killing her children. It's like, where is these ideals coming from?
Well, that's like Sleepy Hollow. You know, that's based off it's based off of a Scottish legend.
Mm-mm.
Like
Didn't
the
know
Headless Horseman, everyone thinks is from Sleepy Hollow originally. It's actually an older Scottish legend where instead of riding on just a single horseback, he rides on like a horse-drawn carriage.
Yeah.
But he's still like headless. I can't remember why he lost his head, but similar folk tales. The Chumash of Southern California have their own connection to La Llorona. Chumash mythology mentions La Llorona when explaining Nueces, creatures of the other world, called the Maxula or the Mamismas. Mythology says the Chumash believe in both Nueces and La Llorona, and specifically hear the Maxula cry up in the trees. The Maxula cry is considered an omen of death, just like the Banshee.
Mm-hmm.
The Maxula is described as looking like a cat with skin or rawhide leather.
Of rawhide leather.
Of rawhide leather. That's kind of weird.
So its skin is pretty much leather.
Yeah, like cat skin. Outside the Americas, La Llorona bears a resemblance to the ancient Greek tale of the demonic demigoddess Lamia. Have you ever seen Lamia, dude? It's like half snake, half woman.
Oh, yeah.
Hera, Zeus's wife, learned of his affair with Lamia and out of anger killed all the children of Lamia had with Zeus. Out of jealousy over the loss of her own children, Lamia steals other women's children. In Greek mythology, Medea killed the two children fathered by Jason, one of the Argonauts, after he left her for another woman.
So this women getting betrayed and having their children killed is pretty standard storytelling, it sounds like.
Yeah, the rest is honestly film shit. But yeah, there's a little legend of a ghost legend for y'all. And the reason why I wanted to make a video was we're actually gonna watch a movie. It's just called La Llorona, and it's pretty new too. It's just now out on Netflix. It's about, I'm guessing, the legend of La Llorona. And at first, when I seen the trailer, Sammy showed me, and I feel kind of bad because I wasn't trying to like, no, I don't give a fuck what you're showing me. It's just like,
yeah, I know, I understood it.
like I've seen so many like ghost movies, of just generic cheap ghost movies that come out. I thought honestly it was somebody just making up some random story and like,
Yeah.
here you go, here's a ghost movie. But now that I know that it's based off an actual legend,
Yeah.
it makes me want to watch it. So we went ahead and rented it. We're gonna watch it now, but we might I might put make another video of like a movie review on what we think. But there you go. There's the legend of La Llorona, the crying woman. Y'all have a good day.